have my ballot. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to take the time and I'm going to vote because it's my civic duty. You're supposed to vote, everybody. You're supposed to vote. Just vote. Like, it's your civic duty to vote. Harris's interview with Fox News showcases a change in strategy Democrats would network. For a long time, Fox News, because they're fair and balanced, they're always saying they're fair and balanced. So they used to say Fox, fair and balanced. Of course, this is Rupert Murdoch's American branch, right? Ultra conservative. They were the very first ones to be like, we are going to be a conservative news source. We're going to do only conservative commentary. It really, they've gotten in trouble a lot of times for lying. They've actually had some convictions because of misrepresenting facts. They've also had to pay almost, what was it, $1 billion? It was $1 billion almost to Dominion voting machines for defamation because they spread lies about the 2020 election, knowingly so. They subpoenaed all of their records as far as their text messaging and emails. And it turns out they were lying bad, bro. Lots of lies. So, hey, Fox News for a long time, for Democrats or anyone on the left, was kind of like, we ain't going over there. We're not going to talk to your conservative asses. We ain't going to play. You guys are crazy. You're doing crazy stuff. It's fringe. We don't want to talk to your fringe ass. So for a long time, they just kind of ignored them. They let them in the press corps usually, but they just kind of ignored them. But now Harris went on the news yesterday, and as you can, of course, you can automatically know that they're going to be like, half the country is going to be like, oh, well, we think that you sucked and Brett Baier did a great thing. And the other half is going to be like, no, she came and there were some takeaways. So I want to talk about this thing with Harris because you got to go to where the people are. And if people believe that, I don't know, Pizzagate and weird shit, then you might as well go to Fox. Meanwhile, on Scarborough, this happened.
But the tone was set right from the outset with a series of questions about immigration where the vice president of the United States wasn't really given the opportunity to respond.
Okay, so right off the bat, the big thing that is Trump's thing is just immigrations are poisoning our blood, and we got to put them all in camps. It's a scary thing. He's basically just pulling a page out of Hitler's playbook. It really is quite disgusting. Immigrants do everything wrong. We got to go to their houses, take their houses away from them, put them into camps, and then deport them. That's literally his plan. That's his whole plan. He thinks that if we kick them all out, that house prices will go down because there won't be so many people here. He wants to kick 11 million people out in the streets. But you can't put them in the streets, can you? So you got to put them in camps. Then you can't keep them in the camps. So you got to send them back home, wherever home may be. Oh, it's America. They've been here for 35 years. Doesn't matter. We're going to send them back to wherever they were born.
Here's how that played out.
How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now,
just a number? Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to
what just a number? Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million? It's a dirty interview tactic. But Brett Baier, that's what he's there to do, buddy. You don't hate the player, hate the game.
To the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have an
rough estimate of 6 million people have been released.
He knows at the time, he knows the clock, and so does she. They're playing a game. She can talk really slowly to the people on the other side of the TV. Is she talking to him, or is she talking to the people who are the old biddies sitting in Pennsylvania watching this? Like, whoa, who's this Harris lady? I don't know. She ain't a Trump. I don't know if I'm going to vote for a woman. I can't vote for a woman, can I?
into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question, I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
Looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the Chips and Science Act, before the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes.
Okay, so this is an interesting thing. The Remain in Mexico thing was because of COVID. This is what annoys me. I wish that I could talk to Kamala Harris. I'd be like, look, the Remain in Mexico thing that Trump was doing was done because of COVID. It was against the law. They allowed them to do it. Asylum seekers coming from the south of the border, they were said, stay in Mexico. They did that. Do you remember that structure fire that killed, I don't know, 4 dozen? I think it was 4 dozen people in their beds. Do you remember that? When the mattress was lit on fire and the jailers just walked out and all of those immigrants just died, just burned alive. Do you remember that happening? Well, that was happened because of that policy. Now, the reason that policy existed was because of COVID. And when COVID was kind of coming to an end, you couldn't keep doing that shit. The second thing is, what the fuck do you think a president can do about the border? What do you think they could do without Congress? We got 3 branches of government in this country, and you need to have congressional support to do anything. They control the purse strings. They control the law. They are the ones that make the laws. Executive branch executes the laws. They had a, I wish he would just say that. What do you think a vice president does at the border, smarty? What do you think I could do? Huh? What would you have me do? I'm not a king. I need to have some kind of freaking congressional support. If I don't have that, I got nothing. There's only a few tricks up my sleeve. That's it. Executive branch just doesn't have the power that they think. But they did introduce a bill, like she just said, and Donald Trump got on the phone and killed it.
Ma'am, it was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the
finish?
Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please? But you have to let me finish.
You
please.
had the White House.
He won't even let her talk. This is not a good look. I get you could be adversarial and tough, but he's not even letting her talk at all. It was really quite frustrating watching this.
And the House and the Senate,
I'm
and
in
they
the
didn't bring
middle
up
of
that bill.
responding to the point you're raising,
Okay.
and I'd like to finish.
Okay, finish. Go. That's what he says. All right, go. Just do it quickly, please, because we don't have much time.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was the opening exchange, Mika. It went on like that.
That was the beginning of it. Oh, shit. Imagine starting a conversation like that with anybody. How could you do it? Where are we going from here, Bartleby, when that's the opening? Jesus.
For nearly 30 minutes. It goes without saying that Donald Trump would not be given the same treatments, talked over, not allowed to finish.
No, they won't even. No one has that conversation with Donald Trump because he only goes to places that kiss his ass. I think this is great. This is what we need in America. Look, I ain't faulting Brett Bright. Okay, the guy is his paid to be kind of an asshole to Democrats. That's his whole job. That's his job. And she should understand that because she was a DA and her job was putting black people in jail for small drug crimes. But that's her job. That was her job. You get away with a lot. You get away with a lot when you just say, I'm following orders. Just following orders, boss. I was just following orders. That's all Brett's doing. He's following orders. That's what he's supposed to do. I'm sure they're going to be like, oh, he was so disrespectful. Great. That's exactly how you should do it. When you get the chance to talk to Donald Trump, that's how you should handle him. He's like, you're a nasty woman. You're so nasty. You notice that's what she didn't do. She said, let me finish. Let me talk. She didn't do some ad hominem against Brett. She didn't go like, oh, you're such a nasty man asking me unfair questions. She didn't go, oh, I'm poor me, Kamala Harris. I have so many problems in life when you ask me mean questions. She didn't do any of that. She didn't whine and squirm. You see her squirm? It wasn't nice, but she wasn't squirming.
Those questions. It doesn't mean the topics weren't fair. There was a lot in there that viewers wanted to hear from Kamala Harris. Why do you have different positions now than you did in 2019? How are you going to fix the immigration crisis? All fair questions, but Donald Trump obviously would never be treated that way on Fox News.
No, not by, I mean, I've watched Brett Breyer for years. That's just, that was different. I think another great place to focus would be with the enemy from within comments that President Trump made.
This is one of my favorite parts too. Enemy from within. Donald Trump says that more than China or Putin. Okay, so for China, we all know China's got slave labor camps. You know, they've got slave labor camps. They kill protesters. China, they're not good. They're not good government wise. You know what I mean? But Putin, holy shit, he's literally got American prisoners, and Donald Trump is saying more than them. The biggest problem in America, the biggest problem is gonna be the people from within. The Americans here. He hates Americans. He thinks that we should unleash the military on them.
You see, that's the exact phrase Trump used a number of times in recent days, referring to his political adversaries.
The enemy from within. My political adversaries. I don't think he ever would say political adversaries. They don't like Trump. They're enemies. God, just Donald Duck. Look at this prick.
Press even. And the retribution he would take against them. It's decidedly un-American. It's a big story. And it's the critical backdrop to this moment in which Vice President Kamala Harris sat down for an interview with.
How do they look at I can't look at him without commenting on the makeup. Are we just going to let this go? Are we just going to stop talking about the fact that the guy cakes on bronzer like this? Like, what the fuck? Should I start doing that? I would look good, huh? Should I start putting like caking makeup on my face? I woke up like this. How did you wake up, Donald? And I'll tell you what, man, Donald, how old is he? He's 35 years older than me. 35 years older. I mean, he's looking pretty good, I guess, 35 years older than me.
With Fox News. It was supposed to give viewers an opportunity to actually hear her plans as president. Instead, as you saw, it almost immediately devolved into an embarrassing bad faith effort by a once respected host to play to an audience of one.
I don't think that that seems a little harsh there, Mika. I think that, Brett Breyer, that's his damn job. That's what he's doing. That was there to do.
The host's constant rude interruptions were designed to distract from the issues and facts that Trump and his acolytes try and twist and distort every day. And on Fox News, they try and avoid. And they couldn't.
That's why she's there. She was there to get raked. What are you talking about? She's there to get excoriated. That's her whole job. That was what she went there. She went there to get her skin ripped off and hopefully make a couple points with people who were like Nikki Haley voters, or people like the former JD Vance, his literal vice president running mate, who said that he's America's Hitler. There's plenty of Republicans. I know. I live in Southern California, one of the most Republican areas of Southern California. And I know lots of Republicans out there that realize that this guy's America's Hitler and they don't want anything to do with him. They're still Republicans. They're conservatives. This is something I want to talk about. Like, are we just going to turn our backs on these folks? Is that the thing? He looks like he had his face in a bag. Yesterday we did that story about the Fruit Loops dye and how they got all the artificial colors out of Kraft mac and cheese. He looks like he was snorting. He put his face in the Kraft mac and cheese bag and just he huffed it like it was paint or gasoline.
When Kamala Harris realized the host was not going to let her speak, The only way the vice president could give Fox viewers an opportunity to hear what she had to say was to talk back over him.
Okay.
Was he making sure that happened? I personally think absolutely. Did she do well in this environment? Of course, she was great. She's a former prosecutor, attorney general, senator, current vice president. She's fine with a situation like that and even flourishes. Yet there were times she was shaky on answers about immigration. He kept coming after her. But the questions sounded like they came from a Trump campaign ad. In fact, they played a Trump campaign ad in the interview.
Of course they played a Trump campaign. Dude, it's Trump news. You went to his home. You went to where he sleeps. It's like going to the dragon's den and being like, why is all this gold here? Why does it smell like dragon shit? I can't believe I'm in. I went to a dragon's. It's like, you ever hear about those people that have to go tranquilize bears in order to track them and study them to make sure that, like, people who are into conservation, they have to, like, who work for, like, national parks, they got to crawl down the bear cave, right? And they're smelling the bear smell. They're smelling all his farts from when he's like, because those bears, they fart up a storm when they're, when they're hibernating. That's all they do is they sleep and they fart, and they're crawling down, and they got to stick the bear with a tranquilizer while he's sleeping, and then stick him with like a radio transmitter or something like that, so they could track him. They know he's okay. Do you know how friggin' scary that would be? Holy shit. And you hear people down there, they do this job. It's got to be so scary. That's what she did. She went into the bear cave, and don't be surprised it smells like bear shit in the bear cave.
The host almost seemed obsessed with transgender surgeries. The vice president kept trying to tell him she will follow the law. That was the answer.
Just following the law. Just follow the law. That's all you can do.
All the while, the vice president found her opportunities to make the case against Donald Trump.
Over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president, one, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances, and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
Nice. Boom. There you go. That's why she was there. Did her job. Good job. That's what she was there to do. Are you tired? Are you tired of listening to your, like, would you let your kids talk like Donald Trump? Would you let your kids say what he says about women? Would you be okay with your kids behaving in any of the ways that Donald Trump behaves? Are you exhausted? Well, here's an alternative. And that's all she was there, because the people of Fox News who watch this shit, that's all they want. They're like, fuck, I hate Donald Trump, but God, am I really going to vote for a woman? And that's all she was there. That's what she did. Yeah. All right. I guarantee you, she went on there, and there's lots of people that were like, yeah, I mean, maybe I'll look more into it, or maybe I'll sit out. I won't vote for Trump now because it's not so bad. Or even more that probably went like, maybe I'll cast my vote for her. Maybe. She only needs a few.
It's the case. Why is half the country supporting him? Why is he?
Half the country does not support him. This is a bullshit thing. Half the country does not support Donald Trump. Most Americans hate him. This is such bullshit. I'm so sick of people saying that. No, half people in swing states, in battleground states, want to vote for him. Places like Nevada, Pennsylvania, Michigan, maybe. I don't know. Michigan's probably going to go blue. But these places like Florida that are very divided. Florida's so weird. You've got cities that are filled with immigrants, and then you've got huge parts of land that are filled with rednecks and cattle ranchers. There's going to be some division there. There's places like that in America. That doesn't mean that 50% of Americans want to vote for Donald Trump. That's just not true. Most people don't. New York has something like 15 million people. So does LA. Those people don't want to vote for Donald Trump. You tell me half of them? It's bullshit.
Beating you in a lot of swing states. Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
It's not.
It's not supposed to be easy, you stupid.
It's supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a
so
cakewalk.
Are they misguided, the 50%? Are they stupid? What is it?
I would never.
There you go. Are they stupid? Are people who vote for Donald Trump stupid? Like I said, a lot of times, if you are a little dumb, you'll be taken in by the con man, but you don't have to be dumb. You know what's funny is that people always think that it's always so embarrassing when a con man takes you. But most con men, they're not exploiting your stupidity, not at all. They're not exploiting your stupidity. They're exploiting your cupidity. They're exploiting your felonious nature. All of us have it in us. All of us want to see the angle to win something, to make something for ourselves. All of us have that. You need to overcome some of that so that we can all work together and live in society. But there are some of us, all of us actually, have a little piece of us that wants to just make something for ourselves. You know, like if I could just see the angle on something one time before other people, I can make a piece for me. That's what the con man exploits. That will to just trick the system for a second so that maybe you might have a chance to make a little bit of scratch for yourself. That's the con man doesn't need you to be stupid. He needs you to be actually kind of smart. He's not trying to pull over. I mean, there's some that just want to trick rubes, and he does a little bit of that too. But there's a lot to just it's not about being stupid. People who vote for Donald Trump aren't stupid. They've just been taken in by a con man.
Ever say that about the American people? And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within.
Nice.
An enemy within, talking about the American people.
I love that. That's all that needed to be done. That was it. No further necessary. So, I think that was pretty good. I think she did a good job. I watched it. I hope you watched it too. I'd love to know what you think, Bartleby. But let's think leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought about the Fox interview. But let's see what Trump said. This is my favorite thing about living in America right now is that every time something happens, you can know in real time what the other guy thinks. You're always like, oh, well, what did this mofo say? Okay, so Donald Trump praised Fox News chief political anchor Brett Baier for doing a great job surrounding the great job. You're going to do better. A+. Showed how totally incompetent, claiming Baier showed how totally incompetent Kamala Harris is. Kamala, actually, he doesn't say Kamala, he says Kamala because he can't say the name. He's so inept that he can't even say her name properly. I think he's actually unable. He says that she should have a cognitive ability test, whilst he can't even pronounce her name properly. He can't even pronounce her name. It's really quite ridiculous. Harris clapped back at Baier as he interrupted. May I finish responding to you? We just watched that. Here's my favorite. Immediately after the interview aired, the campaign notably advisors Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is like the devil incarnate. And Stephen Chung, who's the campaign, the guy running the campaign manager, took to X to decry X. Took to Twitter. Episode 4. Team Biden strikes back. Team Obama shit the bed, and now Team Biden feels emboldened after this train wreck of an interview by Kamala, says Chung. Why do they call it Team Obama and Team Biden? Just to screw with people, to confuse people? Like these are calculated attacks. Team Obama shit the bed and Team Biden feels emboldened after this train wreck of an interview. What in the hell? Do they know who they're running against? Those people, Obama is not president anymore, smarty. There's no Team Obama anymore. No one's on Team Obama anymore. Stephen Miller, the devil, he likened Harris's interview to the sinking of the Titanic. Trump followed. He went on Univision Noticias last night. He said a massive and irredeemable case of Trump derangement syndrome. They think I'm a bad guy. They got Trump derangement syndrome. Someone actually left a comment on one of my videos and said TDS. And I was like, The Daily Show? I love The Daily Show. The Daily Show sounds great. But apparently it was actually Trump derangement syndrome, which I think is wonderful because you've got to be a little deranged to be so into an 80-year-old man that you're not going to listen. You're not going to believe your own eyes. You're not going to listen to your own ears. You're just going to do what he says, believe everything he says. I mean, Trump derangement syndrome, you've got to be a little deranged to be taken in by a con man and never realizing it. Once they start handing out the Kool-Aid, you got to wake up, bro. You got to be like, wait a second, I don't want to be in this cult anymore. I don't want to drink the Kool-Aid. That's a Jonestown reference. He killed all of his followers by giving them chrome in the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. All right. When they start handing it out, please don't drink it. You're welcome back to the rest of society. We'll take you back in open arms. We know cults in America now. We know how hard it is to break free. But don't drink the Kool-Aid, please. So bad, in fact, that she is barely able to talk about any other subject than the man who had the best economy ever, the strongest border in history, and who got the unanimous endorsement at the Border Patrol. It was me. Donald Trump says that she was the worst vice president in history and hopefully will soon be gone. So unanimous endorsement of the United States Border Patrol. I don't even know what that means. How do you get the unanimous support of the United States? Like every border person ever. But I love this. Who had the best economy ever? The best economy ever. That was inherited from Obama. Your team Obama gave you that economy. It's so incredible that like Barack Obama and his administration worked 8 years to fix the economy. And then day one, Donald Trump goes in and says, got the best economy ever. It was me. It was me all along. What? Huh? That'd be like, when Bill Clinton, after 12 years of Reagan and Bush, Bill Clinton took over, and the economy was going into recession, and he had to bounce back. But to say that the policies of Reagan and Bush just had nothing to do with the recovery, I think would be a lie. Just like this is. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. I thought in Clinton had the best economy. Clinton, actually, George H.W. Bush, the economy was starting to turn down because of Reagan era tax cuts and trickle down economics and his Cold War. You can't fight a Cold War with Russia trying to bankrupt the other superpower. If you spend 8 years trying to bankrupt the other superpower by spending 50 cents on the dollar on military expenses, you're not going to be able to keep your economy going forever. So it's also the military industrial complex. I mean, we basically funneled money into jobs the dumbest way possible with Reagan. I mean, it kind of worked, but it also caused a recession, which is what Clinton took over. But part of the mechanisms that Clinton used to bounce the economy back were absolutely because of Reagan and George H.W. Bush is vice president. So for 12 years of Reaganomics, then we have Clinton for 8 years. I mean, and then, the policies of the president before do matter. Like, that's why it matters who's president, right? That's it. It's not that hard. It doesn't take a genius to figure this out. But I really do love the fact that then he goes into saying that her inferior cognitive ability must be tested at once, which is rich. I say they should both do it. I think she should say, okay, let's agree on a third party, an impartial third party that wants to give us both cognitive ability tests. I'll do it. Trump will do it. And then we'll see where the cards lie. Let's go to the same doctor too. How about that? I want to know about the bone spurs in Donald Trump's feet that got him out of going to Vietnam. He had bone spurs as a teenager and he couldn't go to Vietnam. Weird how rich people always got weird diseases that keep them out of getting in harm's way and becoming cannon fodder for American interests overseas. I think there is a good number of independents. So Fallon said he thinks there's a good number of independents and Haley-style Republicans who are very open to voting for VP Harris, and that is why we are open to doing doing events with Republicans on Fox News. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. I hate Fox News, but you know what? Go into the bear's den, smell the bear shit, and then understand that you're hopefully gonna make some good out of it. That's it. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. If we're not gonna talk about shit, then why the fuck are we here? Anyway, Bartleby, what do you think? Should Democrats continue to go to the other side, to the dark side, and talk about these things while Donald Trump can't even go to 60 Minutes because he's afraid of being fact-checked? He's afraid of people asking him questions and challenging him on his alternative facts. Should the Democrats keep doing it? What do you think, Bartleby? Oh, Bartleby. Oh, humanity.